Good morning, everyone. This is right before the President's Day holiday, and I am ecstatic to have Monday off. Even though I've had great news this week on my radiation. My blood levels are good, everything is going great, and I don't feel in any discomfort or distress. I do attribute that to being well fed, and I have to thank my neighbors and my friends for providing me with wonderful, wonderful dinners and lunches too on occasion. And I walk. I walk at least 1.5 miles a day. And the other day, I walked close to 3 miles. So if you want to feel really good while you're challenged during your time, that's what to do. Keep walking. And when you're tired, distract yourself. And it works beautifully. So I'm thankful to President's Day. I don't know how thankful I am to our presidents at this point in time, but I am thankful to have the day off. The day off to do whatever I choose, whenever I choose. What is it that bugs me now? I read Jay Powell is concerned about the inflation wage spiral. Not anyone's inflation wage spiral, just the lower and middle classes. Seems that they've made maybe 5% increase in their wages. Well, I think that's pretty good, but no reason to bemoan that that's causing inflation. Nobody looks at the billionaires who made $2.1 trillion during the pandemic. Nobody looks at CEO salaries and says 31 million is too much, or 200 million, or 99 million. Nobody says that's too much. No, they just worry about us, the lower and the middle classes. They don't even see that we're still in need of the For the Families Act, the child care credits, the child care systems in place, the pre-K for 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds nationalized so that we have standardized teaching. That they don't see. They don't see that we need transportation. Sure, if you stay with the monopolies, we got an inflationary problem because the monopolies really don't care about us. They're making phenomenal profits. Take big oil. They never made so much profit, they said, in 8 years. Well, good for them, bad for us, because the taxpayers are paying for it. And Biden's plan to alleviate some of that tax with taxpayer money, that's just like a double whammy for us anyway. No reason $1 trillion almost in subsidies to big oil has to continue. They really want to do research and development into sustainable energy? Hey, I'd give them back their subsidies. But I'd start reducing their subsidies a couple of billion at a time, just like we did tapering in the market. Right? 100 billion here, 200 billion there. Stop rewarding corporations that we really cannot afford to sustain. You want to make more revenue? Well, we got a lot of gentlemen farmers out there and big farms that don't need subsidies anymore. At least 28 billion is going to them. We could take it back. They've expected it to end years ago, and it never happened. I see no reason to continue funding big farms. Not only do they get the subsidies, but they also get tax breaks on property that small farmers never see. So I think that's a good idea. We need revenue. They're saying we shouldn't generate $750 billion in deficit spending. Well, you want to get rid of the deficit spending? Subsidies are a way. Start reducing them. It's time to get people off of monies that they don't need so that they can then become innovative. When you become innovative and you do research and development, sure, I think you're entitled to more money. But otherwise, to just keep doing the same thing and ripping off the public? No, I don't see that at all. So when they say the lower and middle class has gotten 5.7%, what is that? If you're making $20,000, it's not even a living wage yet. We need more revenue? Go back to our derivatives. I had mentioned that I can't say how many years ago. I'd have to look on my Twitter account and back in my old WordPress archives to find out when I started talking about it. Derivatives at one point were only about, I don't know, 600 trillion, 300 trillion. Now they're a quadrillion. Imagine if we tax them 6 cents on every $100. We'd get a win-win for the country. A, we'd take the volatility out of the marketplace, and B, we'd probably rake in about $1 trillion in revenue. Another great revenue idea. Nobody will even feel it because the derivatives are on a real high level. If anything, it'll be a benefit to our banking system because we won't have to worry about them crashing one day. So I think we don't have to worry about deficits. We have to worry about the low-hanging fruit and figure out how in the world do we tap it so that we get money for the lower and middle classes. Because we all know that when the lower and middle classes are that bell curve, that's what it's supposed to be for the economy. It should be shaped like a bell. They should be making the most money in the middle. And then you've got the extremes on one end and the other. But without a thriving middle class and entrepreneurs and research and development and new ideas, we're just fostering a wealthy class that does not very much for Americans. Sure, they'd like to run for Congress. Sure, they want to run for different legislative seats because it increases the power that they have. I'm pleased to say, and by the way, I do have more revenue generators percolating in my head, though this is easy stuff, and it doesn't even mean tax increases. It just means taking away play toys that nobody needs anymore and shouldn't have to rely upon. When we do serious taxation, then we can start thinking about closing loopholes and bringing up the corporate tax rate and taxing assets. But that's something else, and that's more complex. Let's just think about Americans. I know when I left my small business in 2013, my labor had taken a 57% cut in pay, and I paid well. My people got a minimum of $300 a day. So when I left being in business, I knew that they were hurting. Just this year, my ex-foreman has said he's doing better. So what in the world is a 5.7% wage increase? I don't see that as breaking the bank. You want another thing you can do? Take away some of those tariffs that we placed on China and others. Let's get our balance of trade under control. We do that, we decrease our deficits. We make it easier for people to spend money and afford goods and services. And we also loosen up the supply chain, which is being stretched at this point because people are indoors. So, no mystery about inflation. If they increase interest rates too much and too fast, they'll just repeat what Ronald Reagan did. We'll be in recession. Also, I remember 16% rates. That is absolutely not appropriate. So give us a break, Jay Powell and Mr. Biden. This is the president's weekend. Think about what you can do for our country. And there's something else that you've left undone amongst a lot of things that I haven't seen passed yet. The For the Families Act, the Infrastructure Act, and I understand Trump put in place the privatization of Medicare. It's being tried out in Ohio with disastrous effects. We don't need that. We need Medicare to come directly from government. No more intermediaries in the private sector. That private sector has tentacles in Congress, in legislators, in everyone. And what does it do? It costs we the people more. It has to, because everyone has their hand out and is taking. The only people who don't benefit from privatization are we the people. Luckily, a lot of us are standing up. They're standing up for unions. The kids at Ivy League colleges are asking for the endowment funds to divest from fossil fuel industries. The endowment funds are being reluctant, but they're going to be sued for improper use of funds. After all, they're using those funds to kill off the kids eventually, and the rest of us. And private equity should probably be sued as well, because private equity is making it so that they're taking the pieces of the fossil fuel industry that are really destructive and shielding the major corporations from liability. So we got a lot to think about on this President's Day. But one thing I know for sure is Americans can win out as long as they decide what issues are important, how they want the money spent, and who gets to benefit. If you're not benefiting, then you should be vocal. Break up the cabals in Washington and in your state houses. Start voting for folks who will give back to you. And I guess one of the best things we can do is ask and demand that Citizens United be overturned. The less money in government, the better. Then there's no conflict of interest. We, the people, will benefit. So that's my message for today, everyone. I look forward to seeing you next week, and the week after that, and the week after that. And if you've got anything you'd like to add to my videos and my questions that I ask or my issues of concern, do so, right? All you have to do is write me. Send me a note on Twitter at Grandma J. Silva, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. The alternative is we're almost at 1,000 subscribers. When we reach that number, I can go live stream, and then I'm happy to take your questions. So have a lovely weekend, everyone. Think about what you want and what you need. We're not victims. We don't have to be. Let's have the world we want, and we need it now because we live in the present. God bless you, and thank you for listening. Bye now.